Hey friends, Kris Krohn here and Stephen Michael Miller. Is it better to rent or to buy? Hey friends, Stephen Michael Miller here, and really excited. I've got a question here that I wanted to cover, and the question is it better to rent and have a lot of money or buy a house and have no money? That is an interesting question. So first of all, I want to dive into this question because this is kind of funny to me. There are a lot of people that feel this way. There are a lot of people that think that if I buy a house, I'm going to have no money. And right now that I'm renting, I've got money coming in, or I don't even get why that attitude is out there, why people have that thought, because oftentimes your rent is the same or sometimes even more than a mortgage is. So Tom Hanks in The Money Pit, if you've ever seen that movie, if you haven't seen it, first of all, just go watch it, pick it up. And I'm not doing this to strike fear into your heart here, but they bought this old home and it was the home of their dreams. I mean, this dream home, right? This old, I think it was like a southern, just beautiful home. And when they got into it, they started to do some remodeling on this property, and all of their remodeling went south. Like every single project that they did created like 4 or 5 more projects, right? They'd open up the wall in the home, and all of a sudden they find that there was a leak there. They go to take out some of the piping that was like attached to some of the electrical, and it would, a fire started, and I can't remember all of it, but all of these different things, and the foundation started falling out, or they had a bathtub once that like fell through the second story into the first story. I mean, it was horrible. And I believe that there are a lot of people that think that if they buy a home, it's just a never-ending project, right? It has to eat up all of your money, take up all of your time, and so if I own a home, I'm obviously not going to have any money. Well, I want to strike that. Okay, I want to get rid of that thinking for a moment, because my experience has shown that people that own homes actually have more money. People that own versus renting have more money to actually be able to do other things with and to invest more with. I want to talk about why renting is such a horrible idea, why renting sucks, if I can say it that way. Renting, every month you're paying, and every month that you're paying, you're getting nothing for it. In other words, yes, you're staying in the home, but you're not building any equity in the property, right? You're just paying your money to a landlord. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. We're all involved in real estate, all of us. Either we own the real estate that we're in, or we're paying someone else who owns the real estate that we're in. But every single property that's out there is owned by somebody. I want you just to think about this for a moment. Why do they own these homes? Why do they own these properties? Whether it's a residential real estate property or a commercial real estate property, somebody owns it. And the reason why that person typically owns it is because in owning that real estate, if you're doing it the right way, it's paying you. Or someone else is even paying the mortgage for you. Now, this is important to understand, because as you think about this, really, this is one of the huge benefits of real estate, is over time, even if you bought a home and had a zero cash flow. Okay, just think about this for a second. What if you bought a home and were renting it out, but you had zero cash flow, and you were just playing the long-term game, right? You're just playing the 30-year game. That 30-year game says, I'm going to buy this property, I'm going to rent it out, they're going to cover my mortgage, and even if I don't cash flow, at least my mortgage is covered for 30 years, and then it's paid off. Well, when your home is paid off, but you still haven't rented out, what does that mean? That means that every single penny of that rental amount is now profit or potential profit for you. Of course, there's expenses and there's other things that we're not talking about here. I'm just trying to simplify this for a moment. But the game is you buy a home, you rent it out, after 30 years it's paid off, and now you've got a pure cash flow coming in for you, right? So there's a huge benefit. They're paying down the principal on that home. Once it's paid down, what you also have access to is more dollars, more money for investment purposes. In other words, you have access to the equity in that home to utilize for starting a business, maybe buying more real estate. We've talked a lot about that in other videos. And it's something that can help you to accelerate your investment process. So Here again, the question, is it better to rent and have a lot of money or to buy a house and have no money? I think that it's actually better to buy a house and have a lot of money. I think you shouldn't buy and have no money or rent and have a lot of money. You should choose a different scenario here. I'm going to add a third option to this question here, which is to buy a house and have a lot of money. Which to me is the very best option. And if you're doing it right, again, if you're buying a home as an investment, not necessarily as your dream home. And this is one place, I want to pause here for just a moment because I think this is one place where a lot of people make mistake. They get into their very first home, and we live in this society where we think we have to have everything right now. We don't delay our gratification at all. We want everything right now. Put it on the credit card. If I want it, I can have it. And a lot of times when we're just starting off in life, and maybe we just first get married or first starting our family, we have this idea or this belief that we have to keep up with everyone else that's around us, and we want to have what our parents had. And so we want to get into our dream home right now. And that's oftentimes maybe where we come into this money pit scenario where maybe we get into a little bit too much house. But if you're buying a home to live in and you're buying it the right way, if you're buying it like an investor, then you're going to buy that home like an investment. And you're going to make sure that not only can you afford the home, but maybe down the road when you might want to move or upgrade or do different things, you want to buy a home that will turn into a great investment home for you as well. So again, rather than buying a home and looking at it and saying, well, I want it with all the upgraded fixtures and I want gold toilets and I want all these different things. Instead of saying that, you're going to say, you know what, this is an investment for me and I want to make sure that it's paying me. I want to make sure that it's going to pay me over and over and over again. And even through the first many years, maybe as you're living there, maybe it's not paying you, but you're able to afford it better and set some money aside as you're building equity and as you're paying down that mortgage. So that puts you in a better position down the road to do more and more and more. See, if you take that same amount of time and we're just renting, just throwing your money at a rental, at a home, that you are renting, you're not building any equity. You don't get any of that back. And when you go to move, you have nothing else to draw from. You don't have this maybe a built up or saved up down payment for maybe your next property. That's just not there if you're renting. So again, the question here, is it better to have a lot of money or buy a house and have no money? I think option number 3 that wasn't listed here is best. It's best to buy homes the right way and have a lot of money in the process. That's my advice, and hopefully that helps.
When to buy, when to rent? Well, friends, hopefully now you feel a little bit more equipped with what that looks like. Otherwise, make sure that you subscribe and ring the bell. We got a lot more juicy information coming your way. And then, hey, check out some of the ways that you can be hanging out and doing some real estate with Steven, myself, and our team on a nationwide basis all across the United States in the description and the link below.